Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to season 3, Galactic Retreat. Embody your unique soul expression. Today, I have true pleasure of to have David Manning here on the show, and it was through beautiful synchronicity that we get to connect, and there is so much more beautiful energy inside that wish to come through. So. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you, David. Thank you for being here. Welcome.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's lovely to get the opportunity to share with you and with your audience. So I really appreciate the invitation. Thank you.
Yeah, I just have to say, it's really guided. And that's how we are moving forward, I feel, right? Like moving forward, we are operating more from this deeper connection, within ourselves, the guidance, the nudges, the energy flow within us and around us. Would you?
Yeah, totally. I think that I think that's become really strong and really evident for a lot of people now, and is sort of unmistakable. And something I've become aware of over the years is that we've had this illusion of separateness, that we are individual, but a lot of my work is focused in collective fields. I watch collective fields of energy and I get my inspiration and sometimes my instructions from the collective fields of energy about what needs to be focused on. But in those collective fields, we are one, and we always have been one, and we always will be one. So there's this amazing, when you see a flock of starlings moving as one, or a shoal of fish, and there are thousands and thousands of individuals, but from a distance, they all look like they're moving completely in harmony and in union. And we're like that. We just don't realize it. We're like that as a species. There is a collective body of humanity. And we are coming back to that realization now. It's moving or returning from the depths of the collective unconscious into conscious awareness, that we are not separate from each other, that we of course have our own individual reality, but we are part of a collective field, and there are collective processes that will always unite us. And as more and more of us realize that, it will pull, because it's undeniable that there are parts of our collective that aren't perhaps living in alignment with the highest possibilities, the highest truths, and are behaving quite destructively, quite willfully destructively. But as more and more of us recognize unity consciousness, then the fact that we are already that acts like a gravitational force. It pulls more and more and more of the collective into that gravitational force. And you can't then, it becomes more and more difficult to act against it, I think, because everybody starts to move in the same direction, all focusing on what's for the highest good, even without consciously being aware of it, So I think it's a lovely time, and that's happening quickly now, more and more quickly as we move forward.
Yeah, I love that you are, and I believe that many of the audience can feel into that energy, no matter how, like the level of development and awareness that we can feel that there is a pull into something different, something new, something more freeing, and that's true to ourselves. And I'm just wanted to ask, like, because I can feel like many people will, we hear the words unity consciousness, that we are part of the whole, and how does this support us in our daily life when, you said we are whole, but we are one, and then when each one is sort of like, I would say maybe finding certain difficulty or feeling aloneness or loneliness or isolation. How do we reconcile this alone or loneliness or isolation together with this unity consciousness? And how does this serve us in our day-to-day life?
It's a great question. And I think, you know, because we all feel lonely at
Mm,
times, we all feel isolated. And that's part of the human condition, in a sense,
mm,
is to feel those things and to work through them. Part of the work that I do is offering teleconferences, pieces of collective energy work. And I usually do these on a Sunday night. And the one that we did last night was, you know, a significant piece of it was looking at this this abandonment issue that we all share. And for me, it showed up years ago, or a part of it showed up, a deep part of it showed up. And I think perhaps a lot of people will resonate as being on a spaceship that crash landed on this planet and being stranded here, not wanting to be here, not meaning to be here, you know, and wanting to go home, you know, this longing to go home, which in my belief system was somewhere out there, you know. Now, many of us have that feeling that we don't belong, that we come from another place. And I think that's definitely true, you know. That story that I started exploring about 20 years came up again for me just last week, very, very strongly. And as I was exploring this story within me, this feeling of abandonment and anger and isolation, I heard the earth saying to me, I called you here. I pulled you to me. I wanted you here. And that, hearing that changed everything, because I realized that the gravitational pull of the earth had drawn me to her for a reason, you know. And because of the way my work has unfolded over the years, I now know that the things I experience, there's a timing and a sequence to them that is undeniably of a far greater intelligence than mine. You know, I couldn't work out all of this. And I know now that a deep part, and this brings us really into the topic of the Galactic Retreat you've organized, because a significant part of our soul purpose is unfolding now in a way that it hasn't before, because it simply wasn't yet the time. I've been saying for years that our primary purpose is frequency-based, not activity-based. So our primary, one of our, or some of our underlying primary purposes are the streaming of frequency and encoded energies for the planet. And what I've seen recently is that we are like grains of pollen. And we are in this process right now of experiencing a deeper and deeper level of relationship with matter. We are spirit coming into matter. As we deepen in that relationship, as we go deeper into our body, we unlock more and more of its potential. As we go deeper into the earth, we connect more deeply with the magic that is held there, but we are also encoded from wherever we have come from in the galaxy, in the universe. And those codes open up at a precise point in time. And I think that's about now, over the next couple of months, to activate the next phase of evolution on this planet. And so we are participants in creating our reality at this deeply encoded level. And it's, you know, of an intelligence that is way, way, way beyond the personalities of any of us. And we are moved by that intelligence in a way that we probably don't really fully grasp or fully comprehend or fully understand. But that's the purpose and the meaning of surrender is to allow yourself to be carried by these extraordinary creative flows of energy that will, will move your life, just as they move the planets around the heavens and the seasons across the face of the earth. They will move us as individuals when we give ourselves to that process, and we'll find that we are in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, having the right conversations, reading the right books, all of that sort of thing. It all just falls into place, like, and your life becomes a living miracle rather than a series of really, jolting, jarring events that knock us into shape, sort of things. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I've rambled it, but does that make sense?
Oh my God, that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. I can feel the energy moving and, like the field just open up. Um, oh my God, that is as their stream of energy just flow through you. And I think that's what you mentioned in your bio is that you are a transmitter and energy receiver, and you just demonstrated that
Yeah,
that
but we are all that, aren't we? I mean, every one of us is, we are built as that. And that is our purpose, is that we receive, or we are these codes, but there are more codes coming in all the time, and we transmit those into the collective body of humanity and the collective field of the planet to trigger the next phase of awakening. And maybe at this time not everybody is due to awaken. I don't really know about that. There are maybe 8 billion of us here. Perhaps not all people are here with that intent on the planet. And I think a lot of people might leave to carry on their experience in other dimensions, other worlds, other planets, and a lot of people will leave and be born back here very quickly to continue in brand new bodies, because the bodies they've got perhaps are not able to withstand the frequencies as they rise very quickly, and so they end the experience in this body and come back in a brand new one that is very, very equipped to hold the frequencies, because they are shifting very, very quickly. Huh?
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. There are so many nuggets of wisdom that I actually wanted to go back to the part that you mentioned, about the loneliness, aloneness, and this wound of abandonment or archetype of abandonment. And how funny, I actually had a past life regression. Is also like I was landed here on a spaceship and then no one came to take me home or something like that. And I feel it's almost like an archetypal imprint that maybe we agree to take on so we can experience the level of separation, right? Yeah, and I
Yeah,
love.
because I think there was a collective agreement
Mm,
for us to pretend to ourselves that we were separate. Well,
yeah.
let's see what that's like. And it's been maybe a 13,500 year journey from unity consciousness deep, deep, deep into the illusion of separation. And now that time is over, and it is done. Now we are moving back to the truth, which is that we have never been separate at all. And we've always in that time had teachers that have dropped in to remind us, you're not separate. We've always had practices and trainings and religions that have showed the way and held the doorways open. Um, Now I think we're in a time when we don't need those practices and teachings and religions, because we are the doorway itself, and
Mm.
it's all coming alive within us. So a lot of the practices that got us through that very dense experience of separation are now sort of null and void, because they were designed designed as reminders. And as I say, now we are the reminder itself. We are we are living, it's awakening in our DNA and in our cell tissue. It's just coming back online. So everything has been crunched down, compressed and depressed and suppressed and repressed, and now it's all opening up again, and that's where we find ourselves right now. So it's a really extraordinarily exciting time, but it can also feel quite chaotic and confusing because the old world is dying. And I was shown just 2 weeks ago that literally the energetic structures underpinning the old world, the world of patriarchy and separation and density, they have died now. They have gone. And so we're going to see a rapid collapse in the structures. We've been witnessing that for years now already, but I think this year we're going to really see that gaining pace very quickly, and that will feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, you know, and the encouragement that I was given and have been given for a long time now is to really focus on the inner landscape and your true connections rather than what's collapsing and falling apart, because that's the old world that's leaving, and it's best just to let it go and leave it to do its thing and focus in what's coming online, focus in what's being born.
Yeah.
I was always told you're not here to help dismantle the old world. You're here to help give birth to the new. So keep your focus on that. And I think that's still very, very true.
Yeah, yeah, it feels very exciting. And while you were talking about this dismantling and we focus on inner landscape, I also saw like an image, like, like there's this huge sandstorm or whatever, hurricane or whatever coming, and many of us are in different parts of the world. We gotta hold on steady, as if like we hold steady something, ourselves, and so that together, once the storm is passing, we are able to create our new home or something like that.
Yeah, and that, you know, I think it's really important that we do hold and anchor these frequencies because they create individual or
Mm,
pooled fields of safety in
yeah.
a sense. And I mean, just literally an hour ago, I had an experience of this. I was sitting in a coffee shop with I've just been for a long walk with a dog, sitting in a coffee shop having a coffee, and somebody else walked in with their little dog. And their dog is a sausage dog. What do they call it? A dachshund, a
Yeah.
dachshund. My dog doesn't like dachshunds, so he starts barking
Okay.
quite loudly. Immediately, the dachshund starts barking. So they're having literally a 10-second at each other. Now, there's a guy with a friend sitting opposite me who had come in 10 minutes earlier. He looked to me, and not being judgmental, he looked as if he'd had a really heavy weekend. So very chaotic, loud on his phone, you know, all over the place. He was really upset by the noise the dogs made and shouted at the woman that came in. So they immediately got locked in a pattern, and nobody took any notice of me. I wasn't involved in this at all. And yet it was my dog that initiated the little the whole incident in a sense. And I walked out afterwards thinking, oh, that was strange that they didn't even look at me or nothing. And I just realized that's frequency. That's what's happening now, is that our frequency
Mm.
is our main protection in a sense. And I could have chosen to get involved in their argument. But there was no part of me that wanted to, and no part of them that even saw me in a sense, you know. And I think more and more, this is what's happening. We talk about unity consciousness, but there's also a separation happening between dimensions, so that as our frequency rises, we get carried into higher and higher levels of energy that are very, very safe. So we can witness the falling apart, but we don't have to participate in it. And it then becomes a choice as to whether we participate. Now, you'll notice that more and more the choice to participate wipes you out very quickly, or really drags you into immediate turmoil. And the choice to step back and witness it and let it be leaves you in your own field of serenity and relative peace. That's going to be available to us as the world crumbles. And a lot of people, because drama is an addiction, and we have been trained in that particular addiction really well, there'll be a lot of increasing drama. It's really important to remember to just hold the witness state as much as you can and keep returning to that as quickly as you can, because that is your protection. And I don't like to talk about protection because it's not as if we're not safe, but it's that creates a zone around you of serenity, then of peace. That's going to be really important. And it also demonstrates to others what's possible. And as more and more of us do that, that builds a network, a field of that energy on the planet, which has a really immensely stabilizing effect. And from that, new shoots grow very, very quickly. And I think that's already happening too, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, I love what you are sharing. And it feels so potent that we each hold our frequency. And I feel what one point is very important to mention is that it's almost like we are invited to graduate from this pattern of I need to save, I need to resolve, I need to help, like even on the human level. And I feel it's there. It also involves some part of acceptance and acceptance of where everybody is on their journey, and we accept ourselves like we are on a different part of journey,
Yeah.
and it could coexist, because not everybody is meant to like desert family and run to a isolated island. But it's how we navigate each moment, whether it's drama, where it's hurt that's coming up. We hold this frequency of I'm just here to hold space for you, but not going down to the pool.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of analogies that go with that, doesn't it? That if somebody's dug themselves into a hole, you don't help them by jumping into the hole with them. You stand outside the hole and throw them down a ladder or a rope or whatever. And it's very much like that, isn't it? That it's really important that we have the experiences we've designed and created for ourselves, because that's how we learn to choose differently, you know? And if I have a background in addiction, and it's sort of well known that you have to have your rock bottom, you have to hit rock bottom and feel how utterly, utterly miserable and devastated your life is by your own choices. And there you have another choice to pick yourself up and choose differently, or carry on and drop down to an even rougher rock bottom. Um, and so the desire to rescue or fix somebody it's an addiction. And you have to really give people to their own experience and trust that they have a higher self too. They have their own connection. They have their own guides and guardians who are looking out for them. And I think instead of stepping in and, desiring to rescue, you can stand on the sidelines and witness, but as a prayer, you can hand them or lift them into the arms of their higher self and say, here, you take care of them because I can't, and literally trust that they will have the experience that they need to have. And also that this is, again, none of us ever die. It looks like we do. It looks like we get hurt. It looks like the body is prone to disease and accidents and vulnerable, and at a physical level we are, but we don't actually ever die. That's not possible for us. So having that bigger perspective viewpoint is helpful in allowing somebody to go through their own processes, because if you step in and rescue them, that they might just have to do it all again.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yes, I love that. I love that. I feel it's very important right now that we all step into our well, live from our the neutrality, the point that knowing that we are all source, right? Like we all have our higher self, we all have our guides, and it is more important for us to go on, like to carry on with our own unfoldment of our purpose, if you will, or the expression, or like going through the path that we chose like eons ago, before we came, and know that in itself actually it's also serving other people. And even though for the human mind doesn't look there's directly linked, and you may even trigger abandonment issue or something like that, but it's almost like so important to come back to that knowing and that understanding and that trust that we are all source consciousness living in this human reincarnation, this game, and we have
yeah,
our thing to do and they have their thing to learn. I mean, we all have our things to learn and to play, to
yeah,
create. Yeah.
totally, totally. It is extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, and so we're living side by side with wars, and that's always been the case. There's always been real challenges and poverty, and I'm not saying that you turn a blind eye to that stuff. If it's right in front of you, then you are probably being called to do
Yeah.
something about that, in a sense. But this time in particular is and say the war in Israel and in Palestine, between Israel and Palestine. Everybody's touched by that. Everybody's horrified by that. And I've asked, what should I do? And sometimes the answers are difficult, but what I was given was to trust that everybody on the planet is now where they are meant to be, and everything that's unfolding is meant to be happening. So the whole of the pandemic that we went through a few years ago, all of that, and regardless of what you believe about who did what to who and all the rest of it, it's sort of immaterial if you can trust. It's all part of the bigger process, and it's all part of the sorting out that is happening, and that everybody has chosen, obviously not at a personality level, because you wouldn't choose to put yourself in a war zone or in a famine country, a country devastated by famine or whatever, but at a deeper soul level, those choices are made and everybody is in the right place. And, reincarnationally speaking, we have all been through
Mm.
devastating lives of brutality and poverty. And that's part of the soul's growth, part of the soul's expansion, um, and deep understanding. And now I think perhaps moving forward, things might be different. Perhaps we don't need to have those experiences again in the same way, because we're moving into a very different place in the universe, a very different set of frequencies in
Mm.
the universe. And that's looking at the precession of the equinoxes and the 26,000 year cycle that we move through, periodically as a solar system. And I'm not an expert on any of that, so I won't go into it. But I think, very much we are in a place now where the planet is moving into a long period of heightened frequency. And that will give us a very different experience.
Yeah. So on this cue, I'm just curious, how would you, what's your experience that how do we move with this heightened frequencies? Um, it's like I feel like, coming back to what you just said in the beginning, that this is the time that many of us have our codes activated, and because this is part of our soul purpose to be here at this time, to be the frequency holder, or maybe the wisdom of the keeper or the grid worker, or maybe we like there are so many expressions that we are actually here to embody and then to support not our own journey but also the collective, that all this dismantling. Yeah, I guess my question is that how would you share with us that moving forward the next few months, how are we able to really tap into that, or be in alignment, in harmony with the codes activating and unfolding?
Okay. So I think you can trust that you are already encoded, and the codes are awakening within in our DNA. A lot of what, scientists have told us that a lot of our DNA is junk DNA, and it isn't junk DNA. It just hasn't been active yet. So I think a lot of it is starting to become activated, and we've got these immense energies coming in through the sun, and if you pay attention you can feel them rising from the core of the earth as well, and so from my perspective it's really useful to pay attention to those 2 points. If you're looking for points to connect with, the core of the earth is a great place to anchor yourself in, because she is releasing new codes every day, and we can access those very, very simply just by dropping into the core of the earth. And I wouldn't bother using the visualization of roots anymore, because it's almost like that strengthens the idea of separation. Just be present in the core of the earth, because you're already there. In effect, at some level, at one level, the earth is a part of our chakra system. So drop to that level, or it asks to be taken to that level, where the earth, the core of the earth, the heart of the earth, is one of your vast multidimensional chakra points. And then the same with the sun, the heart of the sun. And the sun, everybody is more and more aware of the sun. Everybody is more aware that there is a huge amount more energy pouring from the sun, and we are aware of solar flares and coronal mass ejections, and all of this is heightening. At this point in time, I think we're reaching a solar maximum, sometimes toward the end of the year or beginning of next year, something like that. So it's, this year it's going to be really, really intense the whole time. Many people are talking about the solar flash. I've never been given information on that, but I do get information about waves of energy coming from the sun. And each of us can have an intimate and personal relationship with the sun, with the earth. It just takes time and practice. If you're not used to doing that, then spend time connecting with and appreciating the sun, and move through any of the fears that we have been encouraged to integrate about the sun, about the power of the sun, and it'll cause skin cancer and all the rest of it. And yeah, that is true. There is that possibility. I'm not saying you need to be out lying in the sun for hour upon hour upon hour. You don't even need to be in the sun to connect deeply with it. Although a little bit of sunlight, we all know, is very good for us too. So those 2 points, the heart of the sun, the heart of the earth, and your heart, in effect, are amazing points of connection. And if you return to those on a regular basis, then you are creating an alignment with cosmic forces that will stream through you for your life, but also for the planet. And that gets stronger and stronger as you give yourself to it more and more. And it's something that I think it's sort of a fundamental part of our technology, in a sense.
Mm.
And for thousands of years, the church has done an awful lot to, or religions, but particularly I'm most experienced with the Christian approach. So they did a lot to separate us from earth-based religions or solar religions, and to turn us away from what was natural into places of, where we felt deeply guilty and ashamed of who we are.
Mm.
Um, we're on this planet for a reason, and we're meant to have a deep and intimate relationship with the planet, and our ancestors have had that. And they built structures and temples, in places where the energy points are high, and they knew that, and we resonate at that level too. And so I spent quite a bit of time in landscapes, feeding into the energy of the earth and getting guided by the earth to go to various places. And all of that is available to us, but we just have to be willing to to drop out of the focused mindset that keeps us locked into a particular level of reality, and
Mm.
drop into or explore other levels of and other dimensions that are always available to us. And so the nature spirits and the dragon kingdoms, and all of the mythical beasts, the unicorns and the mermaids, and those whole realms are active and alive within us, and many of us have dimensions of us that are nature spirit, that are dragon, that are what we might call, star family.
Mm.
And all of that stuff is becoming more and more available as we decompress, as our energy field opens up, and all of these layers that have been locked tight within just unfold and expand, and all of that wisdom gets added back into our into what's available to us to draw upon, every day.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's so beautiful. I'm so happy whenever I hear about dragons and elven and all that. Definitely resonating. And I feel I just wanted to mention one point that I love. We said, technology to connect with the earth and then the solar sun. And I just have this strong feeling that many of, not to categorize, but like star seeds, like people who recognize that when we talk about in the beginning, that we feel we are here on a mission, like a lot of reluctancy. But I actually feel like deep within our soul, there is huge love for the earth, Gaia. And so on the soul level, we are here not because, oh, someone called me to do it. I feel it's because we also have that love for this part of the earth, for the earth. So connecting with the earth it's almost like connect with someone you actually love very dearly.
Mm.
You just forget that you are here because of her, like you love her so much that you're willing to go through this polarity and forgetness just to
Yeah,
have in.
it's I think the scale of the journeys that we are on are sort of unimaginable to our personality. We
Yeah.
don't comprehend our own vastness, in a sense, and the sheer scale of of the expanse of our nature, and what moves us through the cosmos. And so I do think there is this deep love, and that we all responded to a call to be here for whatever reason. And then we see different elements of that playing out at different levels of our soul and our personalities. And that gives us the richness of our experience. and all of those things that we have to work through in order to become unified and to reside in peace, or to feel that peace, flowing through you. And yeah, so it's quite a mind-blowing experience, I think, as we start to unpick the layers. It really is. And I think, to go back to that experience of the crashed spaceship and feeling abandoned, I do think that's, if that happened millions of years ago to just a few individuals, then the DNA of those individuals would be scattered through the whole of humanity. So at that level, just at the level of DNA, we all have that as an archetypal experience. Some years ago, I was looking at another level of DNA, and I was taken into the experience of being an ape that was brutally captured and experimented on by other beings coming here to create the bodies that we now know. And that's another story that is a part of our collective mythology, in a sense, part of our DNA, that the Anunnaki, which means those that from heaven came down, came here looking for gold to and created a race of slave beings to mine the gold for them. And those slave beings were us, thousands of years ago. That's a story that you can look up. So I experienced being the ape that was taken into a laboratory and experimented on, or genetically modified, whatever. And the shock and horror of that experience from the ape's perspective was a part of our collective DNA, because that was a seed point. And so it's almost like that experience was, it sort of sets up the whole colonization energy on this planet, that you can come in, do what you want, take what you want, and it doesn't matter. And we see that repeated over and over and over again. And it's been beautifully demonstrated in James Cameron's film Avatar, the first of the Avatar movies, where you see that ugly colonization moving to a new planet and plundering it, regardless of the beliefs or the beauty of nature. And it's happened over and over again. And I think that was one of our seed points. And you can go into your DNA and clear that, but it's working at these very deep fundamental levels of our system that helps to lay those stories to rest, so that we can move beyond the mass patternings of and the horrors of colonization and what's happened when wealthy, powerful countries move into a land mass and claim it as theirs and kill the indigenous peoples and plunder the landscape. And it would be lovely to live in a world where that didn't happen. And I think, again, that's our future, is to do that, is to live in a world where all, including nature and the animal and plant kingdoms, are respected and honored. And I mean, a statistic that always amazes me is that we share 70% of our genetics with a banana plant. I mean, so we are at that level deeply related, and so we can tune into the experience of all of life, because at that very basic fundamental level, all is one, truly.
Yeah, it's such profound. Yeah, I think there are more researchers that shows how we are connected, with the trees and with the
Yeah.
nature. You mentioned that, it's time to put to clear those DNA imprints, and I feel what we were saying in the beginning of this conversation is that now is a very potent time, a powerful time, that a lot of clearing could happen very quickly at a deep level. and it's really about choosing. So like closing old doors.
Yeah.
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 Would you share, because sometimes, like, because many people have been doing healing work for like 5 decades, 6 decades, or 3 decades, or however time, it just feel like, can I really heal something so quickly? Can I really let the old story go, the identity go? Like, how can I heal so quickly my physical issue and all the things I've been struggling for so long?
It's a great question. And, part of this, and it again, with all of the questions, it's a multi-layered question
Yeah.
because we are multi-layered beings. Um, and so I, like many, many other people, have been on, I started this because I was in so much pain that I had to, if I hadn't gone on the journey of healing, I would be dead because I had to do something. And and I think that's what starts many of us off, is the fact that we're in a real crisis and have to do something about it. So many of us have trodden that path of healing, and many, many new techniques have been brought in to move us through all of the extraordinary layers of trauma that we have experienced in this lifetime. But then you find, as you work through your childhood issues, it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is you. It's much, much deeper than that, and it's the ancestors, and it's the land you're living on, and it goes on and on and on. So the clearing we have volunteered for in this lifetime has been immense, because we have been clearing collective fields that have been building layers of trauma, dense layers of trauma. And if you think back of, just the history we know about the past few hundred or few thousand years on this planet, it's been really, really brutal and really harsh. We've lived through that, and that's our ancestors lived those experiences. All of that stuff has been stacked up in our DNA. So millions have gone on this journey and worked through much of it to a point where we are relatively clear. Maybe we never get completely clear. I don't know, but relatively clear. The fact that that's happened creates pathways through these dense collective fields that make it much, much easier and quicker for others to take the same journey. It's like the first person carving his way through an unexplored forest has a really hard job of it, but the other people can just trot along the path he cut and get there much more quickly. But as more and more of us do it, the whole structure of the collective fields begins to crumble and collapse, because there are so many holes in it, in effect, literally pathways right the way through. And I think that's where we're at now. It's like those collective fields are collapsing. And so anybody that is just right at the start of their journey, 25 years ago, I would see people saying, oh, well, you can intend that be over. And I think that's bullshit. You can't do that. You have to work really hard to. Now I know without a shadow of a doubt that you can heal through intentionality, through focus, through invitation. It doesn't have to be the hard stock. And yes, there are emotions to move through and tears that will be shed, but that's part of the joy of discovering who you are, is recovering all of these lost aspects of self, all of the parts of ourself that we froze because we couldn't afford to feel the experience then. And so it was put into cold storage, in effect, until such a time as we could feel it. Now you move through those things very, very quickly. And so, yeah, it becomes really possible to do that. I've recently had an experience that highlights this for me, because I've had an ongoing hip issue that came sort of out of the blue. And a couple of years ago, my left hip started to become very, very painful and tight, and couldn't do anything with it. And I was stretching and stuff, but it just got worse and worse and worse, until a year ago I could hardly walk, and I started seeing a chiropractor and an osteopath and a physiotherapist and stuff, and we've worked through a lot, but there have been layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of trauma stored in this part of my body, all about suppression, repression of the feminine. What I have done to the feminine in other times, what I've done to myself, many, many, many layers. Recently, and each one of those layers, as it's released, has eased my hip. And every time it's happened, I've thought, oh, I'll be fit. And then we know, still tight, more to do, more to do, more to do. Just this week, I went in after some significant releases and influxes of energy. And I was lying in bed, woke up early and started to explore my hip. And all of the colors had changed. There were beautiful rainbow colors of light in my hip and lots of open doorways. And as I asked, what are these doorways? I was told these are the doorways to all of the fields of trauma you have explored. It's now time to close those doorways. And those doorways all closed at once. It was like a wind came and blew all the doors shut, and the scene shifted. And for the past 3 days, I have been just about pain-free in my hip. And I think that's where we're at now. I know from experience that the things I move through in my body are very much collectively inspired, in a sense. And so I know that that experience shows me that we are ready to end the deep exploration of trauma and move into a very new phase. And just the same, 2 weeks ago, I had this experience in France of being invited by 12 Native Americans to sit with them and witness the death of the structures of the old world. And that happened. It was a very solemn meditation in the light of a dying fire. And so it's over. It is done. At that energetic level, we are ready to move into a new phase. And I think the equinox, the spring or the March equinox of 2024, which is followed closely by a lunar eclipse and then a big solar eclipse that everybody in America is talking about. Certainly, I think, actually, I don't know that. It seems like from Facebook, it seems like everybody's talking about it. So the next few weeks are, it's like a pause, in a sense, a cosmic in-breath or a holding of breath before we start the next cycle. And we've had recently Pluto moving into Aquarius and all of these things that signify, okay, we're at a real turning of the corner, in a sense. We're moving into a different landscape. And everybody could feel that shift into Aquarius of Pluto. It was a very significant point in our astrology as a planet. And here we go again. It's, but I think things are going to be a bit tricky this year as we witness the collapsing of the old world. That's going to be interesting. And it's, for us in the UK, we've had this weird love affair with a family that we think is better than everybody else, the royal family. And we've all given them a huge amount of power through our attention, through tax, whatever it was. The death of the Queen a couple of years ago was one of those big points, and I was told about this before it happened and as it was happening, that signified momentous change, because she embodied old traditions, and she'd done a great job, God bless her. Her moving on allows the whole nation, and in effect the whole world, because that family represents royalty to the whole world, in effect, so having a new king, nobody was really interested. It's like the whole ceremony looked ridiculous, and the crowns and the cloaks, it's like, who cares? Hardly anybody cares anymore. There are some that are really sort of, oh, yeah. And now they're in crisis. He's got cancer. Nobody knows what's happened to Kate. It's as if there has been a huge withdrawal
Mm.
of the collective energy that we have all handed over to them without even thinking about it. You know, the death of Queen Elizabeth signified or made people think, do I really want this? Do I agree with this anymore? And many people are realizing, actually, it's silly now. It's a silly structure, and we don't actually need it. So energy has been withdrawn, and we're seeing a collapse happening in front of our eyes of one of those big old structures, big old institutions that we no longer need to subscribe to, because we're all becoming aware of sovereignty as an internal job, not something we project onto a family and pretend they're better than everybody else or whatever. It's an internal job, and we don't need people to hold those codes for us. We have them for ourselves. So it's just an interesting thing that that's happening right now you know, as we move into this, literally the death of the old world. And there's nothing that symbolizes the old world more than those families that are, you know, scattered throughout Europe and a few around the rest of the world. But it's interesting, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love, I feel like there's a sense of assurance for the audience that, from this conversation and exploration, that we can really rest assured that we are departing from, or graduating, however we want to see the metaphor, like from the old structure, the old chapter, the old phase. And
Yeah.
we are in this, I don't know,
It's a
monumental
transition phase, isn't it? It's
transition,
a transition.
monumental transitional phase.
Yeah.
It's really up to us, like, because like you mentioned, we're in this heightened frequency stage. So whatever we focus on, just, we could focus on anger, and then there'll be a lot of example that support you immediately. And we can focus on, I'm gonna experience the deep connection, and boom, like there'll be people conversation that happen that allow you to experience that. So it's really about how we choose our awareness and focus and hold our steadiness in our, I don't know, that deep connection with ourselves.
Yeah.
And so as we are coming to, I feel like we could talk like forever. I have that feeling like if we say another 3 hours, we'll have like so much to share. So just in closing, I'm curious that how do you feel aligned to bring through maybe a short practice for us to tap into what is budding within us, or how do we
Yeah.
integrate?
I mean, I'd love to do that because and it's so simple. So, you know, I often lead what I term meditational pieces of energy work. And so we drop into a slightly altered state where our focus tends to be inward, and we invite things to happen. And I've been doing this for a number of years now, and that's my primary focus with the work I do. Although that seems to be shifting now into working with the landscape more.
Mm,
One thing I would like to say, though, before we get into this, is that there are a lot of calls for our attention,
mm,
and it's important to recognize that where we place our attention is where we stream our energy. So if we're looking at something, we're streaming a lot of energy through our eyes. You know, television, social media, uh, news, drama, it's all addictive. It all calls for attention. It's all easy to get lost in. And I can do that as much as anybody else, you know. Um, I used to love watching television and get into a good TV series and binge watch it. And I find that I can't do that anymore because I just can't give myself
mm,
to the activity, you know, to the illusion that I'm focused. I can't lose myself in the story anymore. And so I find sometimes I'm at a bit of a loss end because I'm looking for something to entertain me, and the old things that I used to turn to don't entertain me any longer.
mm,
There is more entertainment by sitting quietly going within, and just feeling what's happening there because it's extraordinary, or sitting in nature, because the energies in nature, a lot of the energies we're being encouraged to focus on are not real. They're manufactured energies, electronic energies. But because we're energetic beings, we can integrate those energies and make them real for us if we want. And that's how transhumanism will
Mm,
take a lot of the population, in effect, is because the encouragement is to integrate electronic energies as ours and live from that rather than living from organic soul energies or the energies of nature, which is what are real. So it's if you've spent hours looking at television or on the computer and you walk into your garden and sit, immediately you feel you feel
yeah.
the very, very strong difference, and your system then has to disintegrate the electronic energies it's taken on board and relax again into the natural energies of nature. And if you don't give yourself that respite, that time in nature, you just build more and more and more layers of the electronic frequencies, and you can get lost in those worlds, in a sense, you know. So nature is a really important ally for us in maintaining balance and health, you know, and sanity, literally sanity, because it empties out your energy field, and it will draw the toxicity of, you know, buzzy electronic energies. It'll draw it out very, very quickly. So yeah, that's just something. If you feel a bit lost, and we all do from time to time,
Mm,
go for a walk in the woods, lean
mm,
against a tree, or lie on the earth, or go for a swim in the sea. You know, empty your field out, and it's easy to do that now, and start from the basis of nature as being true and real, and that is always true. So, yeah,
mm.
should we do a meditation?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do. Okay.
Okay. So this will just be a few minutes, nothing major, nothing complicated, just very, very simple attunement to your breath, to your heart, and to those bigger fields of energy that we talked about earlier on, the earth and the sun. And it's a very simple practice that once you've done it once or twice, you can do, you know, wherever you are, sitting in a coffee shop, anything, you know, it doesn't take, it's not a fussy process at all. It just requires a little focus of attention. So I think it's usually useful to have a reasonably straight spine because that allows energy to flow, and just close your eyes and turn your attention inwards and allow the breath to draw you in. So just follow the breath and recognize that on the breath and in the air we breathe, there are particles of life force, prana, energy. And so turn your attention to the energy, the prana, in the air that you breathe, and recognize that is held in the lungs and carried around the bloodstream. And you can watch those scintillating, glowing particles of prana penetrate deep into your body. And as you do that, you recognize that your breath, united with your awareness, can penetrate all the structures of your body, can get underneath the muscles and lift out patterns of tension. And relax muscles, can ease pent up emotions, can soothe physical aches or pains. And you can give your body permission as you settle more deeply inside it. You can give it permission to let go, to relax, to receive, whispering internally to your cell tissue that in this moment, in this time, you are completely safe. As you watch and feel the breath flow through your body. And so bring awareness to the center of the chest, the heart center. And there have been over the past few years many, many activations and expansions of this infinite portal in our body. And so just breathe here to expand the heart field. And you could use the image of a beautiful flower unfolding in warm sunlight as the petals open to receive the light of the sun. Just breathe here, relaxing the muscles of the chest, dropping through any layers of contraction, giving the heart field permission to open, to unwind, opening now to new depths and possibilities, new dimensions of itself. Recognizing at this level we are never, ever separate from love, because love is what we are. Love is what arises from deep within. It's never outside of us, never being denied by somebody we need to love us. It's always available there, in the center of our chest, in every breath. So allow the field of your heart to open and enfold you. Every cell of your body washed by the vibrations emanating from your heart, healing, relaxing, soothing. And as this frequency, this vibration expands all around you, it creates a pool of peace, of harmony, of balance in which you sit. Soft ripples of love moving through. And from that place, you can reach down into the core of the earth, dropping through all of the layers, extending your awareness to touch the heart of the earth. She knows you. She wanted you here. And she knows you as the one that chose to come, as well as all of the different versions of you that have lived in different lifetimes. She knows you as the one and as the many. So as you touch the heart of the earth, recognize that deep, ancient, intimate relationship. Every body you have ever occupied has been a gift from the earth and has returned to the earth. All of the stories you have lived in this or other times are held in the wisdom and the energy fields of the planet. Feel the resonance of her heart and invite that resonance into your body, into your field, into your heart so that you are strengthened and grounded and expanded and held by the love the earth has for you, the deep respect and honor the earth has for you. Take a moment to relax into that, to rest in that. Your heart and the heart of the earth as one. And from that place, reach out to the sun, gently extending awareness out into the cosmos, into the solar system, recognizing the sun as the giver of light and life in this sector of the galaxy. Everything revolves around the sun. Touch the heart of the sun with your awareness. See how different it feels to the heart of the earth. Just as we are beings of the earth, we are beings of the sun. We are solar beings too. And many believe that we journeyed through the portal of the sun to come to this solar system. Its light has shone upon you through everything you have ever done whilst you have been in this solar system. Receive its light, its radiance. Connecting the heart of the sun to your heart. Receive its intelligence, its benevolence, its generosity. And know that every ray of light beaming into your life from the sun is filled with intelligence and guidance and support and vitality to enhance your life in this body, on this planet, in this moment. Allow the energy of the sun to stream through your system, mixing, mingling, meeting with the energy of the earth, rising, flowing into your body, expanding and balancing and strengthening the energy of your heart, radiating out across the planet's surface, connecting with other radiant hearts, building a field of light on this planet. Rest in that field of light and know you are safe and loved. Okay, we are done.
Oh, wow. Sorry, I couldn't find my button to come back. Wow, it was so beautiful. Ah,
Good.
yeah. Wow. I don't want to say too many words because, so allow people to remain in the heart space. Um, Thank you so much, David. I
My pleasure.
feel I know we are really exceeding the time, so thank you for being so generous with your time. Do you have any closing comments that you'd like to share?
Just to trust the journey, really, that it is, it's a beautifully guided process, and more I see that all the time, that there is extraordinary timing and precision to the journey we are on, and everything is unfolding in the way it's meant to, and that that's really beautiful. Trust that. Trust that.
Yeah, yeah, just really, I will invite us to allow that beautiful wisdom to really streaming into our heart and through our body, to allow the body to experience what that feels like, to trust that journey and trust that we are divinely guided. Yeah. Thank you so much, David. It's such a
Thank you.
pleasure, and I feel like we can talk a lot. Maybe we'll continue our conversation next time.
Next time. Next time. Thank you for inviting me, and sending all of the listeners lots of love. Take care.
Much love, everyone. Until next time, enjoying being human, and we will see you on the next talk. Bye for now.